One of the more interesting things about being the oldest person in a lot of your organizing spaces is you sometimes have a different perspective on things. The way many people, especially millennials, have responded to the results of the Super Tuesday primaries, which were somewhat disappointing for Bernie Sanders, I think shows how little many of them understand the process. Now, one could also say that a lot of the states Biden did win are states that aren't likely to be carried by the Democrats in the general election. In fact, of all of the states that Biden carried, really only Virginia and North Carolina have the potential to be even swing states. I think Texas is going to remain solidly red, as, much like Pennsylvania, it has a large concentration of rural reactionaries. The white, less educated, lower middle to lower class white males that the Republican Party has been relying on since they embraced the Dixiecrats. What the millennials forget, though, is that the boomers who provided Joe Biden much of his margin of victory actually did two things that the millennials, for all of their enthusiasm shown at rallies and on social media, have been lacking. The first thing is boomers showed up. They went to the polls and they voted for their candidate. The reason they may have voted for that candidate is because they also voted for their economic interest. Now, many of my millennial cohorts have said that yes, that economic interest is essentially, I've got mine, screw you. But they voted for the candidate that best stated that being Joe Biden. The millennials have to realize that this election is not going to win itself, and it is not going to be won at rallies or on social media. They'll have to get into the streets and get to the polls. Another one I've heard from the millennials is that there's evidence that the system is rigged against candidates like Bernie Sanders. If the system is already rigged now, what makes you think that it's not going to get worse, or what it's going to take to build a new system? To build a new political system would actually take getting off of your phones and away from your computers, and perhaps even getting into the communities that are going to be affected the most by Trump's policies.